So why is the Trilinq performing so poorly for a development that is one bus stop to Clementi MRT, right beside a good school in a blue chip area? Everything else by right, it should do well. Let's dive into the Clementi case study. Okay, let's analyze the properties over at Clementi. It's an area that I really like because mature town, not a lot of supply, especially if you look north of AYE, there's just not a lot of supply in Clementi, but yet Clementi as a town has all the amenities. It's also near to all the tertiary institutions. It's also a town with a lot of $1 million HDBs. So I think fundamentally Clementi is as blue chip as it gets. For those of you who has followed us enough, it's a term that I use for towns that have high demand, low supply. So now if we look at it, here we rank it out, right? Just the general one, of course, not all encompassing. Clement Canopy ranks top in Clementi in terms of profits, annualized capital gains 4.8%, right? Followed by the Park, which is Freehold, 20, right? DOP in 2010, right? But the Park is to the south of AYE, so it's not walking distance to Clementi. Wow, all these words is tying up my tongue. Clement Canopy, Clementi. Okay, so pardon me. Okay, the Park is not walking distance to Clementi MRT. Okay, but it is 1 km to Nanhua . Okay, all the developments here are within 1 km to Nanhua. Okay, the Park has did do better than Trilinq. So the curious case over here, right, is the comparison between Clement Canopy and Trilinq. Why? Okay. Because, sorry, I stand corrected. Clement Canopy is not within 1 km of Nanhua, but the Trilinq is. Okay, so we always say buy close to good schools is a very good anchor for your property price. I myself say that, okay, and I'm a huge believer in that. But somehow or rather, you see the Trilinq right beside, the Trilinq is literally right beside Nanhua, okay? By right, and it's a good size development, 755 units. By right should do well, but you see annualized capital gains 0.6%. Very, very bad. It's bad, like across the board bad, right? So why is the Trilinq performing so poorly for a development that is one bus stop to Clementi MRT, right beside a good school in a blue chip area? Everything else by right, it should do well. Hello, sorry to interrupt. We'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for watching the video and also to share why we do what we do. Is to empower consumers with hard facts and figures, quality research and real-life examples to allow them to make the most informed property decisions. So if you found our videos useful, the only thing we ask for is for you to smash that like and subscribe button so that the YouTube algorithm can push out our videos to more consumers. Thank you, and back to the video. Right, as some more end up loose up to Clement Canopy that is further away from the MRT, that is out of 1 km of Nanhua. It by right should be opposite way around. Okay, and then we have the average PSF for Clement Canopy beating the Trilinq. Yeah, right, and this discussion is important because some of the people will be asking then which direction will Park Clementi's lean towards? Will Park Clementi's versus Clermont end up like Clement Canopy and Trilinq, because they are like the exact siblings to one another. So now let's find out the reason. So I have plotted out the price trends for Clement Canopy and Trilinq over here, and then let's just see what happened. Okay, so blue line is Clement Canopy, and orange line is the Trilinq. So what do you notice with the line for the Trilinq? Not much of a trend, okay? You see it going up and down very, very drastically. Why? Later, the next slide I will share with you why. But what is one thing that is absent from the orange line that we see in the blue line? Okay, so notice as I zoom in, okay, the blue line, I'm gonna try to draw and not make an absolute mess out of the whole thing. The blue line, notice how near or right there about at TOP, we see a very sustained, very consistent increase in price. So this is a concept that a lot of people, I think it's not something that has been thrown around a lot recently because most of the launches more or less sell out at launch, which is this term called developer pricing stage. Developer staging of price, okay, a concept that has lost its a bit out of fashion recently, right? Because a lot of launches smaller in size, like Amo sold out in launch day. Developer don't even have a chance to stage the price, which comes to the point: is it to your benefit that the development is sold out on launch day? As a consumer, actually, it's not to your benefit. Okay, Clement Canopy took their time to sell, about a year or so. But as they took their time to sell, the developer staged the price upwards, right? It started off at 1,003 PSF, and by the time they sold out to their last unit, it touched 1,600 PSF. Okay, so of course, once TOP, the prices did drop down a little bit because the people that launched, the people that bought earlier could have sold it, and then they just sold out, because also this is a lot of the flippers upon TOP. So this is also another thing that you can learn, right? If you're not in a rush to sell, maybe not such a good idea to sell upon TOP because it is the point whereby a lot of the flippers try to sell, and also if the developers have staged the price up very aggressively, definitely there will be a slight adjustment in price down from the developer benchmark prices, because if you realize it, actually only a very low number of people bought in at that kind of price. Furthermore, they are locked in with SSD, so they also cannot sell. The people that are out of SSD bought in at a lot lower prices, and so which is why you notice the price usually go up and then come down. But then with sufficient unit size, right, it will then continue to pick back up again. Right, so be patient and don't be in for a shock. Okay, just be patient. And then you see the trend then now picking up again to now hit 1,800 PSF Clement Canopy today. So now, what explains the Trilinq underperformance? Okay, I'm going to boil it down to two things. Let me zoom it out. Right, so this stage up in prices we never see in Trilinq. As you can see, as a matter of fact, the prices seem to be trending downwards ever since the developer started selling. Okay, and now with the lack of staging, then it just basically sets the trend even after DOP already. The price is very hard to catch back up if the developer did not stage the price up sufficiently enough. Because Trilinq, another thing, right? Let's jump to the next slide. Oops. I accidentally locked the screen. Can you help me unlock the screen? Wait a... I beg your pardon. Okay. Let's move on. Okay, so why isn't Trilinq performing like it should? I boiled down to a couple of reasons. Number one, lack of developer staging. The Trilinq's developer is IOI, I think Trilinq was one of their first developments in Singapore, and they tried to be a little bit too creative for my liking, and they actually built quite a lot of these loft units. And building these loft units, they charge you for the additional ceiling height. And I remember visiting the Trilinq before, and while it was impressive, the downside was that the bedrooms, they didn't build it to a good enough size. A lot of the bedrooms couldn't even fit in a queen size bed, which is actually the most important thing if you were to cater to upgraders. Of course, because it's located in the OCR, your primary market is upgraders, which is why the developer struggled to sell their units, and there was a lot of units left over even after it TOP. So now, then on the back of potential ABSD penalties, QC charges and things like that, the developer were not able to increase their prices. So which you can see over here, all the way from the start, not just cannot increase price, we have a huge range of PSFs, all the way from 1,000 PSF down to up to 1,005 and above. Now this is going to confuse a lot of consumers, because the consumer is going to come in and then they're going to see, they see the unit, they may like it, 1,500 PSF. Then they go home, they do their own research, and then, oh my god, the average PSF only 1,200. Why got people 1,100? Especially if they see a non-loft unit, and then they realize the PSF is average PSF is so low, it's going to confuse people, and it's going to cause a lot of concerns. And I put that down to one of the reasons why Trilinq really doesn't seem to have a lot of momentum in their transactions. People are so confused as to what to expect when you go into the Trilinq. So the developers sort of were a little bit too creative, too aggressive for their own good. And today, the people that bought into their Trilinq, while yes, some of them have still made profits, there are some units, the non-loft units, they have done pretty well. Thankfully, because of their proximity to Nanhua and also their location in Clementi. I tell you, if Trilinq is located, let's say in Hillview, which we'll talk about later, oh gosh, it would have been absolute bloodbath. But yeah, couple of those are some of the reasons, right? Clement Canopy, UOL as the developer, a lot more traditional. They knew how the market worked. They knew how to build units that would be sold, right? There is demand for in the market. So cookie cutter, if you like, but easy to sell, right? Easy to sell from the developer's point of view, but also easy to sell in the resale market. Because I tell you now, if you give me a listing with the double volume ceiling, it's really not going to be easy to sell, because it's a very niche market. You go for a staycation, maybe it'll be something that's interesting, but I ask you to stay in it for long, people will complain that it's so high, you want to change the light bulb, you got to erect a scaffolding and things like that, how you're going to clean all the double volume ceiling space and whatnot. So yeah, what do I learn out of all of this? Remember, developer staging is important. Where the development's price will be headed to actually is really determined by how the developer has priced it, pre-launch, post-launch, pre-TOP, and whatnot, right? Because the analogy is this, right? Picture a relay race, okay? So the developer is the one that starts the race, okay? And then you got to see at what speed he hands over the baton to you, the resale owner, right? So if he hands over to you when he's running very, very fast, right? You take over, you can continue the race very, very quickly. But if the developer like hobble towards you, and by the time he passes the baton to you, it's more or less like walking speed, or maybe stand still, hand over to you, you're going to take a lot of energy to start to hit the correct pace and to catch up with your neighbors, right? Very, very clear case study over here, right? Over at Clement Canopy, UOL handed over to the owners running full speed, right? Staged it up, then they just continue going on from there. The Trilinq, basically, when the developers handed over to all the resale owners, standing start, as a matter of fact, probably dropped the baton. Okay,